Okay, let's start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reuse Company webinars. You will be muted during the webinar, but if you have any questions or comments, you can use the questions section anytime during the presentation. The webinar will be recorded, and in a few days, we will send you the link to the recording. Today, we're going to talk about requirements management in Microsoft Word. Learn fast, collaborate smarter. And our presenter today is Elias Josfi, and I am Cecilia Carlson. So let's start with a few words about the Reuse Company. What do we do? The Reuse Company is a solution provider specialized in the application of semantic technologies and artificial intelligence to improve the digitalization of the systems engineering life cycle. Today's presenter is Elias Josfi. He is a senior consulting engineer at the Reuse Company. He has a master's degree from the University of Montreal and the IMT Atlantic School of Engineering. He has a background in energy and mechanical engineering and has been involved in different research projects. Elias is an active member of INCOSE. He has the ASEP certification, and he is a major contributor to the requirements working group's INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements. He is also passionate about international projects and languages. So this is the agenda for today. First, we will have a short introduction to collaborative environments. Then we will see how to bridge the gap between Microsoft Word and requirements engineering. After that, we will meet SES Engineering Studio add-in for MS Word. Then Elias will give us a demonstration, and we will also have some time for Q&A. So let's start. Hello, Elias.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're connecting from. And thank you for the introduction, Cecilia. So as said earlier, we'll start with giving a little bit of context about the collaborative environments in systems engineering. So the idea is to put some context to introduce the tool and the methodology that I will be showing after. So when we talk about modern systems engineering, the thing that strikes when we compare it with traditional system engineering in the early stages of the discipline, it's the increasing complexity. This complexity can be seen in different dimensions. The first one is the complexity of systems. The systems that we develop are more complex. They have more requirements. They involve more engineering disciplines, etc. So that's one of the key indicators of the increasing complexity. But to be able to cope with this system complexity, we also deal with complex organizations. So business entities that need to work together, suppliers that work with OEM companies, agencies that work with governments. So it's not always like a single entity producing one system. You have to deal with complex organizations. We are in a globalized world, and we need to cope with this. And so, since we have these two complexities brought together, we end up with dealing with complex tool chains. So the number of tools that are used to develop a successful system is increasing since we are dealing with different organizations. Each organization will have different skills, different experience, different tools that they purchased or decided to use. So we need also to take into account this factor. So that means collaborative work in these contexts will be more difficult than it was in smaller teams in the past. So if we talk about complex systems, one indicator of this complexity is the emergence of the concept of systems. So which is theorized in the INCOSE System Engineering Handbook as being a system whose elements are themselves independent systems. So if we take the example that is shown here of the air transportation system, it involves ticketing, but also security controls, system access, to the boarding gates, the arrivals, etc. So and many things that are not represented here. So this is already complicated because it involves different organizations, different skills, different people, but it's just a simplified vision. So it's even more complex than that. So usually we have three main kinds of systems, and the complex systems will be located in between different natures here. So then we have complex organizations. So complex organizational charts, different entities, different companies working together, joint ventures, consortiums, anything that is challenging us in the way we make decisions, in the way we make the system progress. So one thing is the diversity of stakeholders. So that's where the needs originate, and that's where we need to properly understand what is the intention of the system to be developed to convert this into a proper set of requirements. And so if we look at the onion diagram, this is a simplified representation here of the onion diagram. You have the external stakeholders, customers, governments, users in general. Then we have business management, project management, and the engineers. So if we want to have a proper system specification, we need to go through all the layers of the onion. So we cannot basically endanger the system development by throwing some layers to the trash. So in systems engineering, we need to take advantage of every piece of knowledge as it can create opportunities. So we cannot forget that. And so that's what the V model is doing. So we decompose a system into the different layers, and by doing so, we also involve different stakeholders. So that's actually what we're doing, and the other way around. So when it comes to verification and validation, we have a complete verification and a complete validation. So incomplete requirements lead to incomplete verification, and incomplete stakeholder inclusion means incomplete validation. So in the end, it's endangering the system. So a lot of waste of money and time. And the complex tool chains. So that's the result of having to deal with this complexity. So more and more tools. This could be one example. So it's maybe if we take from a broader perspective, not inside a team, but company-wise, then that would be one kind of tool chain that we would find. So imagine what we would the work that we have to do to make this communicate efficiently. And so coming back to the word of the day, which is collaboration, basically the basic definition is working together to achieve a common goal. So in some languages, I can take German as an example. That's literally how we say collaboration. It's working together. So that's literally what it is. And so working together, what it means together, it means that we need to avoid silos. So these tool chains that are complex, they need to communicate with each other. So that gives rise to the use of modeling language to communicate in an more efficient way, the interoperability of tools, and also other aspects. And we need to enhance cross-domain teams to work together. Also, common platforms will enable multidisciplinary contributions and, very important, sharing knowledge. So if the knowledge is contained into the silos, then it's not providing benefits to the other teams, and therefore it's not participating in an efficient system development. And the common part is that we all need together to meet the organization's objectives, the needs from the stakeholders concerned by the system, and the overall project schedule. So that's the three things we need to take into account. And so one key aspect of the collaborative environments is the higher risk of change. So any system that is developed, especially the complex systems that we are all dealing with today, they will have their share of unexpected change, or let's say some any aspect that you would not anticipate by the time you start developing the system. So, and in the case of collaborative environments, since we are encouraging more contributions, then we are prone to also more risk of uncontrolled change. So the philosophy here is to consider change as a factor that we cannot avoid. So instead of avoiding change and trying to predict everything, of course we can predict different aspects, but we need to be aware that some change is not predictable. So you have the notion of risk management that will help, but not all the risk can be 100% predictable. So we do our best to control the changes. And so in collaborative environments, the kind of changes that will occur could make some requirements, if we focus on the requirement aspect, some requirements unnecessary, or maybe we are skipping parts of the specification and we might underspecify the system. So that's if we delete requirements. Here, if we create new requirements, we might end up with unnecessary duplicate requirements. And if we change requirements, we might end up with conflicts. So that's the part here. And if we have a look at what the agile principle from the agile manifesto says, we need to welcome changes in even in late in development. So that means change is something that is creating opportunities. So we don't have to avoid change. And so considering all these concepts, let's check now how we can bridge the gap between MS Word and requirements engineering. So first, if we start from the requirements aspect, we can fairly say that it's the lifeblood of system engineering. It's providing design input and the technical expression of the stakeholder and user needs. So they need to be taken care of and very in a very methodical way without forgetting any aspect. They're they're defining the system verification criteria. Requirements. If we talk about stakeholder requirements, we validate the system requirements and the underlying design, implementation, and operating systems. So very important factors for which, if they're overlooked, would end up with a higher cost for the system development. So in this figure from the DAU and taken from the INCOSE System Engineering Handbook, if we detect defects from requirements later in the development, so the cost could be multiplied by 100 or 1000 in the worst cases. So something we need to avoid here. Okay, and so to be able to bridge the gap between requirements and MS Word, so we have two different approaches. So before that, we have to ask ourselves, why MS Word for requirements engineering? So it could be for different reasons that we will see just after, but basically considering the introduction and the complexity of organizations, you can imagine that some people will not have the use of the tool, or you probably need to deal with stakeholders who will be contributing in Word and not in your production tool. So that's one factor, and the other factor is the accessibility to the tool that could be limited, and so on. So it's in the end a clash of two approaches here. And so that's why we talk about bridging the gap. So we need to come in between, and it's not like there's only one correct answer to deal with this approach. You need to consider that depending on the context, depending on the organization that is dealing with the system development, depending on what is at stake, you have to decide whether you could make these two approaches work together. But basically, the first approach would be to make users adopt a standard requirements management tool. That's what most organizations decide to do for different reasons, because standard requirements management tools are known for being have extensive capabilities to deal with requirements. And if you're working with other entities that use the same tool, so it increases the interest of having the same tool here. But you could come with different challenges. The first one is that you could have, if you want to involve more stakeholders, you could come with a limited access to licenses because of the number, because of the external users that could be involved, contractors, suppliers. So as I said, in traditional organizations, not as complex as those we have today, you know how many people will use the licenses or the tool in general, and you know how it will be used. You don't know that, you know that you won't have to deal with external users and so on. But in our modern system engineering world, this could happen. So another aspect is a steep learning curve. So projects are also subject to more difficult deadlines that are more difficult to meet. So you have less time to learn, use the tool, learn how to use the tool, and put it into practice. So that increases the time to get to a proficient level in the requirements management tool. And also it could be a lack of adoption for the tool, so resistance to change working environments if you're considering changing tools or dealing with the company standards. So that's for the first approach. So if we look at the other approach, which is instead of bringing people into the requirements management world, you bring requirements management world to the people. And so that's what we do with MS Word. It's a tool that is well known. Everyone has used it at least once in his or her life. So it's fair to say that everyone knows how to use Word, at least for the basic purpose of creating textual content. Of course, there are advanced functions in Word that can be used, and you're not all at the same level for using them. But if we talk about the basics of producing text in natural language, then almost everyone learned how to use Word. And so that makes it a factor that helps catch a broader audience, a broader user base, and it's making it more user friendly. So by this, we increase the possible adoption of the tool in early phases of system development. So since we involve more stakeholders, we have a higher chance to get a better understanding of what is expected from the business management and from the users and all the concerned people. So by including these aspects in early phases and this requirements management philosophy, we might end up with a earlier detection of defects, and so lower risk of reworking requirements. So remember the graph that I was showing. So the earlier you detect that, the better. So if you wait for the system level to write proper requirements, these requirements will probably have a lower quality and probably introduce some defects that than if you start writing requirements that in a higher level using the same philosophy, and it's increasing traceability and so on. So I'll come to the concept of digital thread later. One second aspect is to instill a common requirements management framework at higher scale. So requirements management needs that we have ways to write requirements, writing rules, attributes that need to be managed. So why waiting for the system level to define proper attributes? Why not starting from the beginning? So of course, if you do that in a standard requirements management tool, you can do it, but you're facing the other challenges that I was mentioning. So maybe you could use a platforms that like Word to do that, and we'll see how we do it later during the demo. Change and conflict management is also one of the aspects of collaboration that we'll see today, and creating workflows so that the process makes sense. And as I was saying earlier, we increase the traceability to higher level assets. So we extend the digital thread to meet both ends of the V model. Better said, using the introduction aspect, we go through all the layers of the onion diagram. So we have lower chance to miss one stakeholder aspect. So these two different approaches, let's check how to deal with that in the tool method language triangle. So in the first approach, we decide which tool we want to use. So we have a need for implementing requirements management, and we decide which tool to use. So the entry point is the tool. This tool is conveying a method and is working in different in a language. So the language of requirement is natural language, but since you're using a tool, you need to learn also to use and understand the data model of the tool. So by tools here, we mean requirements management tool, ALM, PLM, etc. So I'm not giving any name here, but you can imagine all the majors that you're all using in different organizations. So either desktop based or web based. So that's not the point here. But each of these tools will provide its application of the methodology, and the way the users will apply the methodology is linked to the way they will learn how to use the tool and the adoption rate. So that's even more important. So the fact that you learn slow, that's not a problem. But as soon as you're still working with the tool, you will apply the methodology for better or worse. You will be able to deal with the different workflows. But if you stop using the tool, you're probably having users who are not on the map, and so that's a big problem here that we want to avoid. And about the language, requirements are written in natural language, of course, but you need to understand the data model. If you want to exchange information, you probably would use RecIF, OSLC, or any other exchange protocols of the sort. So the second way would be to use the language as the entry. So not choosing the tool you will be working with, but acknowledging that everyone will be contributing by to requirements by the fact that it's the common form of writing requirements is in natural language. So language is the starter, and from this approach you will convey the method, and finally you will choose the tool that will support this this approach. So if we look at that, this means natural language is the entry point. Everyone writes requirements in a given language. So you need to agree on the language with which you will write the requirements to avoid ambiguity and so on. So in the quality checking and all the writing rules, they will depend on the language, of course, even though we have universal aspects. The method here is a fast-tracked requirements management application of standard principles, as I was mentioning, rules that you will follow to write the requirements, attributes management, change management workflows, etc. So broader audience is also permitted by this method. And the tool here would be the MS Word powered by the SES Engineering Studio add-in. So now let's talk about this add-in. So what is it providing that that could make MS Word a possible option for some users, or maybe on organization scale, if you have a small team and you would like to work with this tool. So how we can make this possible? So first of all, let's meet our Rex, which is a short name for this SES Engineering Studio add-in for MS Word. So some of you know the SES Engineering Studio tool, which is a desktop version of a multi-platform tool to deal with quality, traceability, and so on. So we have the Word version here. And so basically the path that you will follow would be first to create a requirements document. So you have a Word document that is already being edited. And by connecting this document to the add-in, you will be able to start your journey into the requirements management world inside the text editing platform here. So secondly, you will parse the document. So we need to extract work items, work products from this document. So that's one aspect. We will see that in the demo as well. You have attribute management, so you can start adding attributes to the objects that you parsed from the original document, which stays in the view. So here you see that we have on the left side you have the document, and on the right side you have the add-in. And when you click on one of the objects, it's synchronized with the with the with the with the document. So then you have baselines and versions. So one aspect that is also permitted by this this add-in. So once you connect the document and you parse the elements become versionable, and could be part the whole set could be a baseline and so on. Then you can check requirements quality using customized rules or maybe a standard set that is provided with the tool setup. You can start tracing with other documents, other Word documents, other sources. Maybe you have a requirements management tool that is used by a few people, and you want to have your Word document traced to these requirements because you're dealing with a project statement of work or a higher level document, and you want people writing requirements to be able to trace to this Word document. You can interoperate with other tools. Here, interoperating means you can migrate data, so your requirements here, to another platform. You can convert these requirements into another format. Modeling tools can be also involved. You can propagate changes in requirements to other sources, so that's a complementary capability of the interoperability. The binding of two objects and the propagation of changes from one original object to the destination. And finally, the collaborative change management. So we have a series of webinars of 15-20 minutes each that was presented to showcase this add-in. So I putting the link here to this webinar series. If you once you get the presentation a few days after the webinar, you will be able to check this if you want to learn more about any of the aspects that will not be thoroughly covered in this demo. So, and this table here is comparing capabilities. So it was prepared by an IBM Doors expert that has worked with the tool for more than 25 years. And basically we're presenting here three approaches. So that's these are the two worlds. You have Doors, the one requirements management tool, but you can consider that more or less with another platform. You have maybe slightly different ratings, but more or less you could consider that overall it would go in the same direction. You have the Word documents itself, and what is bridging the gap between these two elements. So here, I'm not going to detail all the results, so this will be for you to check if you want. And if you have any questions, we can talk about it later. But I will talk about some key aspects here. Tracing, which is permitted by an end-to-end traceability component, which can deal with traces regardless of the destination tool. So you can trace from Word to X or from X to Word, X being any available connector in the plugin. You can provide reports and generate reports using the plugin. So customized reports. So you create your own template with a Word-like extension, and then it's going to provide you with the reports based on the connected information. And you have the co-working collaboration capability that is permitted also within Word, which as being the tool it is, providing it better capabilities than a standard requirements management tool. And if we look at some embedded capabilities of SES Engineering Studio, I mentioned the quality before. So again, if you want to get more details about how this works, I invite you to check the webinar series. We can have also VMV implemented. You can monitor VMV activities inside the tool and check the overall progress based on your individual objects, and also produce matrices for verification and validation. Traceability, I will show a bit of it in the demo. a bit later. And if you look at collaboration in the tool, basically the document can be stored in a shared network, and this document, as it's going to be parsed by the tool, will be stored in a common repository, which is our synchronized source of truth. It's a database which is located on premise in your servers that is set up in when the tool is deployed, and any connected tool will have its assets stored in this synchronized source of truth. This enables to work with the capabilities that I was mentioning before, the quality, traceability, the attributes that you create inside the tool. So in the case of Word, in the plugin, will be stored in this database as well, so that other users can benefit from this work as well. So the attribute is not stored in the Word document itself, it's stored in the database, which makes it accessible by different users and enables also versioning and change management. So the source document, let's say a shared network file, that's the current use case, will be parsed to and to produce work products that will be stored in the synchronized source of truth, so our working repository. And then if we work in change request mode, so we freeze the document edition, the free document edition, and what we do is, in that case, have different users contribute to editing the document, to propose changes, and then these changes will be approved or rejected by someone that is a reviewer or a manager in the team. So I will see in the demo how this works. In the case of a shared network file, it's still a Word file, so user one will be accessing, let's say in exclusive mode, the plugin, so that no other user can access at the same time. Eventually, Word will also prevent you from opening the file at the same time. So user one will contribute, user two will contribute in another moment, and then the change request mode will enable administrators, members of the change control board, to decide what to do. So we can say, for example, user one, we accept the change request. User two, we reject it. So we can also consider that within the change request, we can partially accept or reject things. So one change request includes different individual change proposals. So we will see examples in the demo, and then we can decide to accept or reject those changes. And so then they're propagated in the synchronized source of truth and pushed back to the document. So that's the current use case. In the evolutions that we'll be introducing in the next versions, we would like to share this document in SharePoint. So the difference with the previous use case is in the way we access the tool. So the two users will be contributing at the same time, producing change requests, and then the same will occur at the end. We will decide to either reject or accept the change request. Okay, so let's go to the demo now. So we will check how to convert your document in a set of engineering configuration items. Some walk through the different capabilities, very short, because we have the webinar series for that. And then we'll dive deeper into the collaboration use cases, user role and access level management, change request mode, and how to approve decline change requests. So the first video clip here will be showing how we can connect to a document. So the first thing when you connect to a document, step one is to parse the document. So you can select in which sections the document will be checked. So you can extract the work products only from one specific section of the document, so to avoid reading all the information. So in the document, you can imagine that you have parts that are dealing with what you want to analyze, manage, trace, etc., and you have parts that are just piece of information that will not be part of the work items. So you can filter that way. Then one option that we can enable is the detection of object IDs. So that's very important. So if you have object IDs defined in the document, we can convert them into unique IDs in the work item. So that means that when we will be creating a new object, the ID will be incremented as you are doing it in a requirements management tool. And if in case of conflicts, you can also resolve conflicts with the tool. So we'll see in the example of the change request approval how this occurs. So then we use the filter. So since all the paragraphs here begin with one prefix and number, which is the ID of the objects, we will look for that at the beginning of the paragraph. So okay, so we can filter by words, we can filter by keywords contained in a semantic group. We have different ways to enable filters. And so once we do that, a panel appears on the right and will show the different objects that were parsed. So the fact that they appear in green and new state means that they're awaiting to be synchronized to the synchronized source of truth. So you can navigate through the document by selecting the objects, and you see the object at the same time on the left side. So it's kind of your live document and your work items here on the left. So once you click on save, they get synchronized, and we have the loaded state enabled here. We can create an initial baseline of this document, for example, to store the status of the document at our version 1, basically, to be able to capture changes and monitor the changes that occurred in this document. So then this gets created, and we can start dealing with changes. So if we navigate through the document, if you select the object on the right or on the left, you will get synchronized on the other side. Let's add some attributes to the to this document. So you have a list of attributes that are contained in the database, in the repository that is used to synchronize the data. And within this document, you can decide to apply. So we have a synchronization button to apply the glossary of attributes that I was just showing. And these attributes get included in here. And same as we would do in a standard requirements management tool, we can add view into the view the different attributes as columns so that we can see these here. So some attributes appear here, some are automatically created by the tool to generate the information, and some are coming from the glossary. So once we create these attributes, then we can see some of them on the right. So if we focus only on priority and rationale, we have an option to set all objects to the same value. So here we put the priority to medium to all the objects. And so then we can here see that they're all updated. We can unselect the objects after we did this assignment of all the priorities to the objects. And then we can save these changes. And again, they get synchronized to the repository, and that's why we get always the loaded button here. I will come back to this here. So that's showing what the synchronization is doing. So we save the information at the source, so the Word document. We save the information in the database, our synchronized source of truth, and we save the view information. So that means that next time someone will access the plugin, the view will be available for the user. And so based on user permissions, you can decide if you grant access to changing the views or changing attributes, etc. So you can create different user roles here. So this here is an example of a requirement that we'll be editing. So here I'm changing the power and adding so different value and a tolerance. So just a small change here. It appears as updated, and we'll see later when we compare the baselines that we can see what happened. So then we can create another requirement. So just a few seconds here before I resume. You see that the ID that is assigned is the next one available. So that's doing exactly what we would do to in a requirements management tool to avoid conflicting IDs here. So if you delete this object and create a new one, then it will have the 028 number. So as you may imagine. So that here is an example of a requirement which could be improved. We'll see later how we can do that using the capabilities of the tool. And so here, this is created. It's new to the database and new to the document because the document is still to be saved. By the way, if you click on this save button here, it's exactly the same as if you click on the Word save button. So they're synchronized. Clicking on this save button means saving this one here, and it will trigger the window that I was showing before. And if you click here on save, the same. So eventually it's synchronized also in the buttons you can use. So if you're familiar with this save button, don't worry, it will save also on that side. So that's saved, so loaded state again. We can edit using the writing assistance this requirement to check how the quality can be improved. So here we have, you're using a be designed to superfluous form. We could say here shall resist multiple attacks here. So that would remove both flagged errors here. But let's consider another approach. So the resistance to the attacks, we can define the force that the system should have. So here we can see the pattern that will be used to guide us through writing. So we can use patterns to guide us through writing requirements. And so in that example, let's consider that here we start writing. So as you are progressing, you have the suggestions that appear. So I'm expecting a property, then I'm expecting the off, then I'm expecting a system name. I can either press tab to prefill with the suggested option the sentence, or double click on the option by scrolling down in the drop down menu. And then we follow on, write the value. Then the tool is telling us that the unit or qualifier is missing. So 600 watt basically is the question that is asked by the tool. Then this could be flagged if we click on it. And then when you keep going, so you will have here to add the unit. So then it's asking you need a tolerance. So this is not easy to verify, not easy to test. So we need a tolerance. So once you add the tolerance here, for example, you will be able to skip this error and finally get this finished. So here, the tool is telling you that the quality of this requirement would not be stored. You need to perform an assessment because this quality could be more recent than the other requirements' quality. So you need to do an overall assessment to make sure that you all have the same. You're assessing the quality of the same at the same time. And so then we can set the priority to high here, for example, and put a rationale here that this value has been confirmed by stress testing, for example. Okay, so that's one addition that we did. Then what we can do is save again these changes. And by doing that, again, we save on the two sides. We didn't change the view this time. So the tool is not telling us that we're saving the view. This time we're just changing the document version and the synchronized plugin version, the one that is stored in the database. So then we can create a new baseline with the updated version of this document, and this then can be compared with the previous version here. So this is creating successfully, and then we can go to the configuration management menu, show the baselines. You can compare with the current version, but here it would be the same, of course, in that case, but you can compare versions that were stored here and see the differences. So for example, here we have a new object, and they were all updated because we created the attribute medium after we created the baseline. So that's why they all appear as updated, and we can see the changes individually. For example, for this object, we can show the version and check what happens here. So if we compare with the version 4, of course, it's the same. But if we compare with version 1, two things occurred. We added this, changed the information, and we added the value for the attribute. So that's why, again, in the baseline comparison, all were updated because we did that after we stored the baseline. So that's one factor. Then what we can do as well is use some complementary capabilities like the traceability, for example. So if we look at the traceability to another Word document, so you can expand or detach this window here. Check the module map. So with which other documents it has been traced. So in that case, it's just traced with another Word document, which is the upper level system. We can click here to see the traces that were, in that case, these traces were, it's put in the rationale here. It's suggested by applying a semantic discovery algorithm. So if you want more information about this in the webinar series, you have more information also about this aspect. You can see the elements that were traced, the trace type, and who did the trace, created the trace, etc. And you can also update the rationale to put more information if you want. So this is written automatically by the algorithm, but you can also put it manually, put your own message manually. Okay, so that's all for this first clip. Is giving you an overview of the capabilities. So now we can focus on the collaboration aspects. So you saw that collaboration could be by editing an object, by changing an attribute, by editing the tool towards improving the quality of the requirements, and by creating traces. So many different kinds of changes that can be done under change request mode, and that's what we're doing here. So first we define the different access levels for the different people. So administrators and reviewers will have an exclusive access, and engineers will be able to work on a shared mode. So that means I'm not freezing the access for the other users. And so the change management is on, and the role for the management of the change request approval is done by the reviewer. So if we look at this change issue here, this is what is triggering the change request process. So we create a change issue, and then the engineers will be able to provide changes to the document in the change request mode. So here I'm connecting as an administrator to check the change issue and convert it into a change request. So that means we are starting the process. So the change issue is like the initial state. So once we connect here, I'm connecting, by the way, to another document here, which has another parsing configuration. But in the end, we get the same result, which is that we get the objects parsed, and we can see the objects on the right side. So same approach here. The only difference is I'm using a different document here. So, and then eventually we can go to change management and see that this change issue has been created, and we can decide to start the you see the start button here to start here allowing change proposals. And so this becomes now a change request. And so next, let's see now how we can contribute to changes and how we can improve or discard changes. So coming back to another document here, let's consider, for example, adding a work product. So you cannot add. You see that it's frozen. You need to start the change request mode to unblock the additions here. So now you can add. It's not like a real addition in real time. It's you're proposing changes. So this is not going to be stored in the document. It looks like it's going to be stored in the document, but it's a change request. And so here you, for example, specifying the maximum speed of the temperature warrior system, you save your change request, and you can put a rationale to sum up the different changes you performed. So then eventually reviewers can view all the changes you did. And so that's the first change proposal. You see that it's deleted after you save. We don't see it. After you save, we don't see it. So the document is not updated until someone accepts the change request. So that's very important. We're not pushing changes. That's what enables collaboration eventually, because we can provide different requests, welcome different requests from different users, and that's only after we accept them that they're pushed to the document. And so now we're considering another use case, a bit tricky, this one. Someone is providing a change outside the document, so not inside, outside the plugin, sorry. So let's say I'm adding a new requirement. I'm not using the plugin. I'm following the syntax here provided with the ID. I'm also adding an ID that is might be conflicting with the other one, and we'll see what happens. So here, first of all, when I connect as a manager here, I connect to the document, and I will see that this here will detect that changes occurred in the source document since last time it's connecting. So that's why the synchronization to the repository is important, because we can detect these changes. So the tool is going to tell you changes were detected here. Changes have been detected in the source of a module in change request. So I'm in change request. So I'm supposed to have the same until changes are approved or declined, and the change request is closed. But this time we detected changes. So a window will open to show the comparison. And so that's where the power of the synchronized source of truth is to be seen. And so this requirement is detected, and so we created a change request for the other for another object, and here we need to create a change request from this change that is provided from outside. So we convert the apparent change that is introduced in the document to as a change request. So that means the Word document is a little bit ahead of what the final result will be. So if the change request is to be rejected, then the tool will be able to delete the Word document. So let's say I added the change request coming from outside, but then I consider this needs to be rejected. So the result will be that I don't want this to happen, so I would delete the content to make it match the work item baseline that we have here. And so that's what we see at this moment. So you see that the ID changed to 166 because we have a pending 165, which is created by the change request. And so then we can manage these change requests. So I'm a reviewer here, and I will be managing here the change request. So once we refresh here the change management window, we'll see 3 pending change requests. So 2 are coming from users, the one user that is worked inside the plugin, and the other one came from outside. And so the way to see it is by checking the column which says CIS that would show just after, which is change in source. So this change in source column means this change came from outside the document. And so then we view all the details, we complete the change requests. We can do the same for the other one. And so this is another change request about this requirement. You see the message below. We cannot approve this change request because it came after. So it's saying that we have to manage a change request in the order by the creation date. So this is how we can deal with that. We can solve all the change requests. So we can see the ID changed here for the third one. This one is 165, the second one. And we will reject the 165 and keep the 166 that was created by the user from outside. So in that case, we can here approve the last one. And so once all the change requests have been approved, we can finish the change request resolution and stay away, exit the change request mode. So here, that's what the reviewer could do. We can exit the change request mode and unblock the document for editing. And so now you see that 164 and 166 are here. So the 165 completely disappeared. But we keep in the history that it was deleted and not accepted. So that's why the ID is being kept. Okay, so now let's move to the questions. I don't know if you have any questions. Cecilia, do you have any questions in the chat box?
Yes, we'll take a look.
We can maybe leave some minutes for last questions, and maybe announce the next webinar in the meantime.
Yes, so please, if you have any questions, write them down in the questions section. And I can tell you a little bit about our next webinar.
Okay, so yeah, should I present
yes.
it?
No, I can do that. So
okay.
Next week already, we are invited to present a webinar together with Obeo, unifying digital threads, Capella and interoperability to support a synchronized source of truth. So why should you join this webinar? Jose and Elias will show you some updates about the SES integration with the Capella model-based systems engineering and related features. You will also see synchronizations from or to other systems engineering tools through interoperability functions. And the date for this webinar is the 3rd of April, next week. So over to the questions. Let's see. In the example, you are showing an administrator role and normal user role. Does it require a different license of the plugin?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. Of course, I didn't mention anything about the licenses. You saw the same tool in all the demos. So in one of the videos, you saw that we have user roles that are defined. So that's the way we deal with the different permissions. So it's not a matter of license. It's a matter of defining the permissions for the project. So it's the same license that will be used in all the cases.
Okay. Here's another one. I am already familiar with the desktop version of SES Engineering Studio, and I was wondering whether this desktop version is required to run the plugin.
Okay. Of course, I mentioned this. I mentioned this several times that we have the desktop version as well. So also for those who are not familiar with it, so the engine that is included in the plugin is the same. It's the difference is on the capabilities. Like I showed the traceability, for example, in the plugin version, you can only trace from and to MS Word, and if you want to interoperate, the same. It's between or between one Word document must be on one end of the operation. So that's the only restriction. For the rest, is the same is the same product. So if you're working mostly with MS Word documents, then you can work with a plugin fine, and you don't need a desktop version.
Okay. Another one. It seems like the parsing configuration is capable of separating text and put them into different attributes. Can these attributes be customized?
Yeah. So as you saw in one of the clips, the first one in which I introduced the concept of attributes, you have a glossary. So this glossary is totally customizable. So you can store it in the database. You can export it to share it with other repositories of the tool. So in a separate team, for example, working in another project, and you can customize the attributes. So even if you have a standard list of attributes that you synchronize with the document, you can also then decide to remove some of them if you don't want to use them, or change the name, change the values it can have, and so on. So this is totally customizable. Of course, depending on the permissions you have. So if you're an administrator, maybe you would have access to these this attribute management, and maybe if you're not, then just value assignment, but not managing the attributes. So the permissions also can be customized, and you have many options there. So I hope that answered the question.
Okay, thank you. This plugin is only for Microsoft Word. How about Microsoft alternatives such as VPS Office?
Okay, so that's right now this plugin is only for MS Word, but as I mentioned, we have a desktop version. So the desktop version has connectors that embark different APIs and different ways to connect to the sources. So if you're interested in looking at the connectivity to WPS Office, then we can definitely have a meeting to talk about that and check how we could connect to this. And if we need to adapt the tool, then that's also something that can be discussed. So it's a matter of checking how we can adapt the connector. But eventually, it's a connector that enables the plugin to work with Word. So hope that that answers, and I invite you to write me an email if you want to follow up on this.
Okay, so that would be all. Thank you very much, Elias, and thank you everybody for joining us. If you want to know more, don't hesitate to book a meeting with one of our consultants. You can also ask for our personalized requirements analysis service or request a trial license if you want to try our tools. Of course, you can also find more information on our website, reusecompany.com, and a lot of videos on our YouTube channel at The Reuse Company. And then in July, we are planning to participate in the INCOSA International Symposium in Canada. So if you're planning to go there, we will be happy to meet you there. And we hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Cecilia. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day.